engines are learning how to think more like humans. And in some ways, I'd say that humans are even thinking a little bit more like search engines. How are we a searching machine and able to find the things that we want to find? The third is sort of social media, which I really like to put in both categories. Social media can be a great way of driving traffic. It can also be a great way of augmenting the content experience so that you get more visitor engagement. So what we're going to be looking at real quick is I am going to do a quick run through of SEO because I'm sure Ben covered it very well. So I'm going to do the shortest intro, but felt I should do it just in case people weren't familiar with some of those topics. Just a real quick run through the SEO architecture so that we can get into the exciting secret weapon stuff in content workflow and then some advanced secrets. Of course, when we're talking about search engines, what we're talking about is this box, this one little box, and of course other ones like it on Bing and Yahoo, where millions of times a day people type in things that they want to find. And of course, they're not really trying to search, they're trying to find. And what the practice of search engine optimization is, of course, is to rank well at the top of these listings. And if you do a typical search, so I think we're doing a search for mountain biking, you'll see that millions of results come back. There's no point in being ranked 1 million. You need to be in the top few, and that's the whole practice of SEO. How do we do that? My favorite way to do it, and I think is something that has been advice that I've given for a while of how to stay out of, basically stay in the search engine's good graces and stay out of the black hat area, is think like Google does, or like the search engines. Basically, Google is, if you've ever been to a networking event and there's that one person that seems to know everybody and everyone comes to them and asks them questions, almost a little bit like The Godfather, but maybe not so sinister. And basically, Google wants to be that ultimate referrer, that person that can be trusted upon, that whenever you have some sort of need, that they can refer you to the right person. So someone might come and say, I need a good plumber. I need a good plumber here in Austin. Or where's some good pizza? Or I need to learn more about this piece of content. Who can you refer me to? And so the best way, long term, to rank well in the search engines is to be an excellent referral resource for Google or for all the other search engines. On the human side, what are people looking for? Well, people might be going to so if someone's looking for a plumber, they're looking for pizza, something like that, they might just go to a general website. But there's more and more searches for very specific, very exact things. If you're blogging, if you're publishing on a regular basis, that's the type of traffic that you're trying to bring. You're trying to focus in on these very specific things. And so for example, if the other day I was coding a module and I was trying to find out when a certain function changed in PHP, because apparently it wasn't working right in PHP 5.3. And I thought it changed at 5.3, but apparently it must have changed sometime before 5.211. And so I'm typing in these very long phrases to find this very specific piece of information. And we're finding this trend happening. It's what's called long tailing in the search world. And so humans are trying to find something very specific. If they go to a website and they don't find it, what happens?
Never go back again. Bounce.
It's a bounce, exactly. So a bounce is a term that we use, although what I've always found interesting is we've never found a good term for the converse. I like to use the word stick. So a bounce is when someone comes to your website and they immediately leave. What happens if they don't bounce? And that can open up a world of possibilities. People can start going down all kinds of different paths. They might go and look at other pages on your website. They might start to tag things. They might start to bookmark things. And so, of course, what we're trying to do is get people the information they need for that very specific search they're looking for, so that hopefully we can build a better brand impression. Magic formula for SEO, and a little bit, if you were in my session yesterday, just a little recap of a couple things. But so the magic formula for ranking well in the search engines, and this kind of boils it down and makes it simplistic, so it's a little oversimplistic, but is great content, or great architecture, plus great backlinks, plus great content equals great rankings. Architecture we'll go over in a second. Backlinks are sort of beyond, that's when basically other websites are linking to your website. A lot of that, if you're creating great content, that happens naturally. There are other ways to make it happen. Obviously, having great features, great tools, things like that. What we're going to be spending most of this presentation about is great content. Drupal is a fantastic platform. In fact, Ben obviously is an expert in the area of SEO, and he likes to say that he just worked on several different platforms in the past, like we have at Level 10, and he likes to say that he focused on Drupal in the end several years ago, committed to just doing Drupal work, because it was the best architected platform for SEO. And I agree. But the problem is there's this huge control center. But luckily, our friend Ben created an easy button for us. So I'm going to go through in less than 30 seconds, because you've probably seen this several times if you've ever been to an SEO talk, and it's recorded. That just some of the modules that are important to create a good architecture. Again, I said that you don't have to remember any of those, because essentially there's an easy button called the SEO checklist, which we're here in Austin, and Valachi created this several years ago to help us weed through all of this. So now we're through all the stuff that you get in a normal SEO presentation at a camper. And now let's get to the new stuff that maybe you haven't seen. And so I guess for transparency, a lot of what we're going to be showing is things that we created at Level 10, because while Drupal was fantastic on the architecture side, we found that it was lacking, and I should say that's lacking any more or less than any other platform, but there was a lot of tools that we wanted to help build better content. Many of these tools are things that we have been doing manually for a long time in our blog and in other parts of our website, and we wanted ways to make the process better. So to start off, content on a website. Where does content come from? Ideas? People. What kind of people?
The authors.
Smart people? Okay, that's true. Not always. But what titles would these people have? If we were to give them, if they are users of a system, what types of people do we get content from?
Website owners.
Website owners, exactly. So that's one.
Commenters.
Pardon?
Computer savvy people.
Computer savvy people? People who know how to know, unless of course we have Drupal and then they don't need to be so computer savvy to post content. But the ideas for this content, like what goes up on a website? Well, so we have, we have site product owners, site owners. So generally in a Web 1.0 website, it's pretty much the organization that says, here are the topics we want to talk about because these are going to make us look very impressive and we're going to polish this message. In a Web 2.0 website, you probably are giving your staff blogs, or you're giving maybe even people on the outside the ability to blog or post content in some way. And of course, when I say blog, it may be a blog, it might be a wiki, it might be a forum, it might be, there's all kinds of different tools. So when I say blog, I'm sort of mean just generic social publishing. And so the authors might have ideas of things they want to publish. If you really Web 2.0, you're letting your users drive what a lot of your content is. And of course, when you look at between what the organization wants published, maybe something about your products and services, you look at what authors might, so something that an author is just interested in writing about, maybe some pet project they have, or some interesting problem they just solved. And you've got users, people maybe are submitting questions. And this probably happens with us, we get students submitting questions to us all the time. And so maybe you want to take some of those and you want to answer those on your website. Creates a list of topics. The normal content workflow is that someone authors a piece of content, maybe it's got to go through some editors to make sure the grammar's okay, but basically it's done. If we really want to drive traffic with this content though, there's a few other steps that we need to go through. One, we need to do some keyword research. We need to make sure is the topic that we're writing on, is it actually something that people are looking for? Are there ways that we can maybe tweak that content to phrase it in ways that people are actually looking for it? What I find interesting is that, can anyone tell me the difference, I don't know if this is a common phrase or not, the difference between a taxonomy and a folksonomy?
One's structured and the other isn't.
One is assigned with the other comes from the user.
Yes. And so I think the structured and the unstructured is accurate also. But taxonomies come from experts in a field. Folksonomies come